Our topic today is on the Sutra for Inhalation and Exhalation, the Anban Shoyi Jing. Very interesting, and we could say maybe that it is the missing link between the original teachings of the Buddha and teachings that came much later, all the way to our current day practices, particularly in the Japanese school. A little bit further background that Buddhism, like many philosophies and religions, went through many transformations, and that there are a number of different schools of Buddhist practice. Here at Mabo, we say we're of the Chan school, a Linji lineage. This Chan, the word Chan, is the same Chinese character in Japanese Zen, same, although the practices between Chan and Zen vary some, very similar in many respects. The Zen school emphasizes the practice of counting breaths at the beginning, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I always wondered, where did this counting of breath come from? Because it's not in the original teachings of the Buddha. So hopefully we'll be able to answer a little bit of that question today and go a little bit deeper as well. So in the first talk, I explained how there was this ancient text that was written, and we don't have the original Sanskrit, but the text was translated into Chinese by Anshigao in the year 148 CE, so quite a while ago. But that particular text, which was then full of commentaries because it was so interesting, many commentaries were written, and the commentaries were written right into the text, so that we don't know now what the original text was and what the commentaries are. This was the case for many, many years, until 1999, when a clean version of the original text was found in a Japanese monastery. Very exciting, actually, two manuscripts copied. So we now have the original text, which is called the Anban Shoyi Jing, and we have the text with all the commentaries in it, which is called the Da Anban Shoyi Jing. Da meaning, in this case, larger or big. Great. So this text, really the Da Anban Shoyi Jing, with all of the commentaries, or perhaps one of the original versions, we don't know, ended up having an impact on many different schools of Buddhism. So we know that Buddhism, we could say, original teachings of the Buddha, after he passed away, then 18 schools of Buddhism, maybe 20. Of those 18 or 20 original schools, really only one survives today, we call Theravadan Buddhism, very well practiced in Southeast Asia and, of course, in the United States as well. Then, around the first millennium CE, then we had the beginning of what's called Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism also divided into three major branches, we could say, Madhyamaka and the Yogacara. Tathagatagarbha, if you wanted to go divide it a little bit more, we can say that these schools then were subdivided into these different schools, particularly in China, a lot of different schools, Pure Land School, Tiantai School, Chan School, eventually became Zen. So we have all of these different schools, makes it a little bit more complicated. But these schools were all impacted by this one text. the Anban Shoyu Jing. So we can say that Kumara Jiva's Zochan San Mie Jing, a book on meditation, on Chan meditation, which was translated in 401, uses the same parts as in the Anban Shoyu Jing, the same 6 parts, as does Vasubandhu's teachings in one of his texts. And also, we can say that Buddhaghosa, the great writer of Theravadan Buddhism, the original school, also used the same method, as did Master Ji of the Tiantai school. And then we can say that this goes all the way to the Zen school, Dogen and Kaizan, the 2 teachers of the Soto Zen school. All of these people were affected by this one text. Now, the original text, the original discourse delivered by the Buddha was called the Anapanasati. Anapana means inhalation and exhalation. Sati means mindfulness of. So the mindfulness of inhalation and exhalation is what the Buddha taught originally. One of the techniques that the Buddha, not the only one, but one of the main techniques that the Buddha taught. And Anapana means inhalation, exhalation. Anban is the Chinese version of Anapana. So we can see the connection here. So when people practice Anapanasati, they say, oh, I am a practitioner of Anapanasati. Well, actually, probably they're only the practitioner of the first of the 4 tetrads, because the later tetrads are for much more advanced people whose minds have been trained so well that they no longer have any discursive chatter. How's that possible? Well, if you practice diligently and under the right conditions, the mind can become so quiet that no more discursive thought is taking place. No more internal chatter, storylines, those kinds of things, that vanishes. Then the person can enter into higher stages of concentration. And that's what happens in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th tetrads of Anapanasati. So most people are just practicing the first part, which has to do with mindfulness of the breath. So in Anapanasati, we have the instruction of breathing in long or breathing in short. Means however you're breathing, you just focus on the breath. You don't worry about the breathing being long or short. You just focus on it. And you notice it. You're aware of how you're breathing. And then mindful of how the breath affects the entire body. You're aware of your entire body when you're breathing, and you're seeing how your body is feeling. Now this gets expanded in other teachings that the Buddha gave, like Satipatthana. And then finally, calming the breath. So these are the 4 aspects. Now, this is really the method that the Buddha taught. But many people, particularly as lay people, were not able to practice to the extent necessary to go into the higher levels of concentration. We call the jhanas. They weren't able to do that. So they wanted to be able to have methods that would help them in a step-by-step graduated way to become deeper into the practice. This must have happened because this is how we have this text, the Anban Shoyu Jing. So this sutra, we can say Anban means inhalation, exhalation, Sho means to keep on or maintain, and then E here, it means the process of thinking with intention, intentional thinking. So they don't use the word nien, which would mean the word mindfulness. Here they're just saying maintaining our awareness, maintaining our intention to stay with the breath. So we know from our experience of sitting in meditation that what does the mind want to do when we're sitting there? It just chatters away. And sometimes it just chatters away randomly, and sometimes it connects to the next part, and now we have an entire story going on inside of our mind, and the bell rings, and oh, okay, where am I? This is very common experience, not to be something that we are critical of, just something to be aware of. Because as we practice more and more, the tendency to want to quiet this mind becomes stronger and the storyline becomes weaker. And so we're able to stay with our practice.
This inner chatter is often called the monkey mind, or if you have a puppy, we can call it the puppy brain, the mind that is always jumping around from topic to topic, oftentimes focused on its main subject, ourself or the people in our lives. We call this the drama or the dramarama, discursive thinking, going round and round. Very difficult to stop. Always on the job, always giving us comments and commentaries about what has taken place, what is happening, and what might happen in the future. At times, this commentary can be helpful, but at other times, we need to be able to let it go so the commentary doesn't control us.